Arizonans know that I don't spend much time talking about the politics or the electoral stuff. I really just stay focused on the work that's ahead of us. And so today's announcement is a reflection of my values, and I think the values of most Arizonans who are tired of a political system that pulls people to the edges and really doesn't reflect who we are as a people. So I think Arizonans can expect me to keep doing the work I've always been doing. We have a lot on our plate right now in the United States Senate, and I'm going to keep doing that work.
Democrats were so happy to get that slim 51-seat majority. Some of your supporters are now taking to Twitter saying that they feel betrayed by your decision to declare as an independent. What are your comments on that?
You know, when I ran for Senate in 2018, I promised Arizonans that I'd be an independent voice for our state. That's exactly what I've done over these last 4 years. And as I always say, the proof is in the pudding. We've been able to achieve historic victories for Arizona that have made a difference in the lives of the people of the state. I'm incredibly proud of that work. I was very proud and happy to see my colleague and friend Mark Kelly reelected, and I couldn't be more delighted to have Raphael Warnock return to the United States Senate. They're both incredible partners in the bipartisan work we're doing. My stand today is about joining the many Americans and lots of Arizonans, in fact the majority of registered voters, who don't believe that any political party fits them perfectly. But Arizonans can expect me to go back to work and do what I've always done, which is put my head down and deliver results for our community.
You're citing whether you vote will not change now that you're an independent, but if you still side with Democrats a seemingly majority of the time, what's that rationale there?
Well, it's interesting that you pose it that way, because that's not at all how I think, and I don't think that's how Arizonans think. When an issue is presented in the United States Senate, the first thing I do is try to figure out, can I help solve this challenge? What can I do to be a part of the solution? And as I've demonstrated over the past several years, I've been extraordinarily effective at doing so, whether it's the infrastructure bill, historic gun violence prevention, just recently the Marriage Protection Act, and the work that I've done on climate change. I'm willing to work with anyone to get things done. And so I don't think about issues as being Democrat or Republican, and I don't think Arizonans do either. So I'm not really paying much attention to people's lists or how they rank things. What I'm really focused on is how I can deliver results for Arizonans.
Talk to Chuck Schumer about whether you will keep committee assignments now moving forward, now that you're an independent.
You know, this morning when I announced that I changed my registration to independent, I did ask the majority leader to keep my committees because they're so important for Arizona's voice. I will be keeping those committees, and I look forward to continuing my service working across the aisle with anyone to get stuff done for Arizona.
Did the president get a heads up from Senator Sinema in advance of her announcement this morning that she would re-register as a Democrat?
So I will say this, as always, we do not discuss private conversations that we have with members of Congress. Don't have anything else to share outside of that, but we are just not going to share any private conversations that we have with Congress.
Can you talk about the president's reaction? Was he surprised?
Well, I put out a statement, and that, as you know, I speak for the President of the United States. So he sees and we see Senator Sinema as a key partner on some of the most historic pieces of legislation that you all have covered in this administration. When you look at the past 20 months, from the American Rescue Plan to the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law to the Inflation Reduction Act to the Respect for Marriage Act, from also the PACT Act, all of these pieces of legislation have been historic, and we have partnered with Senator Sinema. And so, look, we understand her decision to register as an independent in Arizona. The way we see it and understand it, it does not change the new Democratic majority control of the Senate. And we have every reason to expect that we will continue to work with her successfully.
Just 2 days ago, you said that Warnock's win gave you a little bit more breathing room, a little bit more ability to deliver for the American people. Does Sinema's decision to leave the party take away some of that breathing room?
Look, as I said, and I put out a statement on this, as you all know, as I said, that we see, we understand Senator Sinema's decision to register as an independent. The way that we see it, it does not change the majority, or it doesn't change the complexion of what our Democratic majority is going to look like in the Senate.
How then does it impact you? I mean, you're saying that this decision won't change at all how you work with her? Or you said that you expect that, or you have every reason to expect that you will continue to work successfully with Sinema. Where does that expectation come from?
Because she has voted with the president 93% of the time, because she has worked with us on key priorities of this administration. When you think about his economic policy, I just laid out all of the different historic pieces of legislation that we have been able to get done, and she has played a key role in that. When you think about the CHIPS and Science Act, when you think about the bipartisan infrastructure law, those are pieces of legislation. There's another long list of other things that she's worked with us on. That's 93%. And so we think that partnership will continue. We do not see a change in our Democratic majority as it relates to the Senate. So we are very confident.